look a little different, even though the youngster or youth kind of look almost the same. We're from every walk of life, we're from every demographic, every strata of society. But we've got these things in common, which is that we're open-minded, we're tolerant, we're creative, we're artistic, and we're kind of mellow and kicked back. And I believe that one of the vital things to changing this cultural threat, I mean, that's supposed to be threatening. I guess it is okay. Then the next level, you know, at least they don't have to see the stuff. And the next level will be, wow, that's marijuana. Look at that. That's a lot of marijuana. Is that okay? It's kind of right there in front of me. And we're kind of doing that. And what's more conventional than a convention center? You know, if this is not normalizing, they've been afraid of our culture for years and years and years. You know what we're finding out? They're not afraid of our money. They are not afraid of our money at all. And it's, you know, it's funny because economics was largely behind this fear campaign that we've, you know, this terrible, horrible campaign of persecution that we've experienced for generations, you know. Economics is, well, let's face it, economics is behind everything, really, at the end of the day. And it's really interesting that it's going to be economics that turns this around. This terrible economy, this global economic downturn that we're experiencing has been a perfect storm for cannabis. A perfect storm. Because here we are with the #1 emerging business in the United States of America. You know, that's turning their heads. And as an activist who's been volunteering a full-time commitment for a long time, it's been inherently frustrating, even insulting, even depressing to see that for so many years you talk about shattered lives, you talk about people's children being raised by foster parents, beautiful people, wonderful, healing, gentle, decent, intelligent people's children being raised by foster parents, being told that they're criminals, that they're evil. All the terrible things you talk about, the injustices, the criminal justice system with all the emphasis on the system rather than justice when it comes to us. The second-class citizen status, can't rent a house, to have, you know, being permanently branded a felon. You talk about that, and you just can't connect with people about the justice aspect, the human rights, the civil rights. No connection. You talk about, hey, you know, you can tax this thing, you can bring a lot of revenue in. Really? Wow, that's fascinating. Can you talk to me more about that? Well, that's really a letdown. But that's the environment that we live in, and we have to deal with it. And we are dealing with it. And our dollars and cents is turning their heads. And we're making incredible changes. As we do this, we have to make sure that, you know, there's a balance that we need to strive to. And that challenge is, as we exploit the opportunity, the financial opportunities, as we take advantage of all the economic potential, that we're not exploiting this general beautiful culture, this subculture, and taking advantage of it. And as I briefly mentioned, you know, yesterday, medical marijuana promotion with beautiful women bulging out of their skimpy little nurse outfit with the high heels and the garter belt and the stockings on and stuff. Man, that's not helping the medical marijuana industry. That's not really the image that we're looking to get. But what we're proving to the status quo is that cannabis is not the gateway to addiction. Cannabis is the gateway to economic recovery for the United States of America in part. And we're not just talking about medical marijuana, which is really, you know, let's face it, medical marijuana has shown the compassionate side and the discompassionate, the uncompassionate side of the government. You know, when you talk about, you know, this little old lady in a wheelchair, a threat to society, come on, it's insane. But there's also the incredible industrial hemp potential that we have that really has not been realized, except for the fact that you can buy hemp milk in the store right now, and hemp granola, and hemp waffles, and hemp oil, and stuff like that. And then the unbelievably untapped, once it's legalized, geez, I mean, who can even calculate the economic potential in your brain for something like that? It's just off the charts. So there's a lot of opportunity, there's a lot of challenges, and those of us that have been involved for years in the movement as activists, you know, the onus is on us to be the elders, to be outspoken, and open-minded too. You know, it's frustrating watching the marketization, the capitalization, the monetization of cannabis happening. It takes a lot of growing pains. When I was in Venice a few months ago for a great thing on Venice Beach, Greener Fest, a little Hempfest on Venice Beach, who would ever thought that possible? You know, there was one block that had like 4 marijuana dispensaries, and there were these women in bikinis and big signs, and I'm not anti-sexual. But they're out there and they have these big signs, you know, get your 420 doctor thing, you know. It was almost too much for me. I have to wonder how somebody else would look at that. But these are the growing pains we have to go through, and we'll figure it out. Every community will figure it out. The reality is that, you know, everybody's got to have a gig. Everybody has to make an honest living. And cannabis can not only change our lives in so many ways, it's this beautiful cottage industry already. And all of our suppliers, our dealers have known for years there's a lot of money in this stuff. But the mainstream businesses, the Wall Street businesses, they're, like I said, they're sitting on the sidelines. And they're watching very, very closely. And every municipality is